He's the nut behind the wheel and behind the mic. This is Automotive ADHD with Matt West.
We're in outer space! Told you numbers don't lie. This is crazy, bro!
All right, so I know this is a car show, but I sometimes talk about various modes of transportation in general. In the past, the show has claimed the title of the Automotive ADHD show and the Boat Motive ADHD show, which I'm still kind of working on a better name for that last one. Maybe Aquamotive ADHD? I don't know. Let me know what you think. But the show is now going to brave the final frontier. I mean, these are the voyages of the misguided radio show and podcast on its continuing mission to talk crap about all things not Toyota, to seek out new ways of breaking Hondas, and to boldly go, more or less, where some may have gone before. I think that's what we're doing. And by the way, if you were listening on the radio, you didn't see that, what was on the video. That was the scene from Fast and Furious, one of the movies, I've forgotten which, where they take a Pontiac Fiero to space. Yeah. If Fast and Furious can do it and still be a car movie, I could talk about it here and still be a car show. Granted, I think Fast and Furious stopped being a car movie long before then, but that was probably the nail in the coffin there. So, now, having said all that, though, I want to talk about the Blue Origin space flight that occurred recently. And Blue Origin is Jeff Bezos's, the Amazon guy's, space company. And I guess he likes sending celebrities to space now. And that space flight happened earlier this month with some celebrities who apparently are recognizable for one reason or another, one of which was Katy Perry. I guess she's a musician. I don't know. It's my first time hearing of her. Does she do country music? I don't know. Also, Gail King, CBS Mornings co-host, TV show host. Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos' fiance. And then a lady, Carrie Ann Flynn, a movie producer. Oh, and there was a former NASA rocket scientist on there. There was one of those at least. Aisha Brow. Oh, anyway, something like that. The thing is, with a high profile, sort of passenger compliment as this, yeah, of course it makes headlines. That's exactly what they're doing, by the way. They get celebrities because it makes headlines. That's why they do it. But the thing is, the reason I want to talk about this, and the media is putting this out as a historic moment, the first all-female space flight in, since the 1960s. And they're making a big deal out of it as if these people are actual astronauts. And I want to make the point that just being a passenger on a space flight like this doesn't make you an astronaut. I mean, there's no way that this makes you an astronaut. I mean, firstly, it's amazing that the spaceship was actually able to clear the Earth's gravitational pull with all the weight of the makeup that Katy Perry was wearing. I mean, have you ever seen the TikTok filter that girls use? It was like she was using that the whole time. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think the astronauts of Apollo 13 were necessarily concerned with how much foundation they were wearing. I'll throw that out there. And USA Today reports this, that the spacecraft was named after astronaut Alan Shepard, the first American to space. They say the 60-foot-tall rocket topped with the gumdrop-shaped crew capsule got off the ground right on time at 9:30 a.m. on April 14th. Gumdrop-shaped, yeah, that's one way to describe it. That's not necessarily how I would describe what that rocket looked like, but that is one way you could describe it. Here's the thing, though. I don't even have to necessarily comment on this because the internet is doing such a great job at it for me. Case in point, Wendys, the fast food restaurant, Wendys, their official Twitter account, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, in case you were wondering, is on point with some of this because another X account called Pop Crave said, quote, Katy Perry has returned from space, end quote. And then Wendys replies on their official social media account, can we send her back? Oh, man. And it gets better. And it gets better because another account called Pop Base, not Pop Crave, I guess, tweets this. Katy Perry seemingly kisses the ground after returning from space. And there's a picture of her kissing the ground, except you can tell she's like hovering over it. She's not actually touching the dirt with her lips. Some of the other passengers did that too. Well, the official Wendys Twitter account then replies, I kissed the ground and I liked it. I hope I don't have to explain that joke, but for perhaps the older audience listening to the show, Katy Perry did a song with the lyrics, I kissed, well, it wasn't the ground, and she says she liked it. So anyway, it just keeps getting better. But, you know, the thing is that I find interesting about this, and I don't think it's necessarily a sexist thing to criticize this just because it happened to be an all-women space flight at all. I mean, whether it's an all-female space flight or not doesn't change the fact that they didn't do anything. And you know, what's crazy to me, so Gail King, one of the passengers, the TV show host one, came out in a statement saying that, you quote, you'll never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they say, oh, he took a ride. It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and the work that Blue Origin does. Look, we're not criticizing the actual work that Blue Origin does. I think it's a technological marvel that we live in this world where space tourism exists, albeit for the rich and super elite, but nonetheless, it exists. That is a technological marvel. The fact this capsule can come down, the people can get out safely, that is incredible. But calling yourselves astronauts, though, I do have a little bit of a problem with that. Because the astronauts she's referring to, like, look at the famous astronauts of history. These people trained for years, many of which had decades of military piloting experience before becoming an astronaut. And so this is further exemplified, by the way, by the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Shawn Duffy, who said on X, the U.S. commercial space industry is an inspiring project which showcases American ingenuity and exceptionalism. But the last FAA guidelines under the Commercial Space Astronaut Wings program were clear. Crew members who travel into space must have demonstrated activities during the flight that were essential to public safety or contributed to human spaceflight safety. I don't know if Katy Perry necessarily did any of those things. I'm just throwing that out there. All they had to do was ride in the craft. I mean, really, that's the gist of it. And again, they're saying that, oh, the media is saying they blazed a new trail for women with what? By writing a big check? And that completely negates, by the way, the actual accomplishments of real female astronauts, some of which, by the way, who lost their lives, Judith Resnick and Krista McCullough in the Challenger explosion, for example, lost their lives. But there have been dozens of actual female astronauts whose entire careers were based around this. They spent their whole lives dedicating to exploring space and science. So I think that's, in a way, a little rude to those people by equating Katy Perry and Gail King to, those. So, yeah, sure. It's a marvel of modern engineering. We're not saying anything about that. But just because you drive a car, that doesn't make you Lewis Hamilton. So anyway, that'll do it for the Space Motive ADHD show. I'm definitely not getting invited to any Blue Origin flights, probably ever. But if Blue Origin does want to partner with me to send a Fiero to space, or even better, maybe an MR2. Let's do an MR2. I'm all game. So, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week, right here on the Automotive ADHD show.